Hello, Superior YMCA. I am Jen, your Health and Wellness Director, and I'm here with Jill and Ashley this morning. How are we doing, guys?
Good.
Good.
Perfect. Hopefully you guys are doing well at home. We got another one of our wellness talks for you today. We're going to talk a little bit more about like recipes and food, not necessarily like nutrition or anything like that, but just kind of ways to find new recipes and how often we cook new recipes. And then hopefully you guys can share in the comments certain ones that are your favorites and what you like about them or how often you try new things. So a little bit different, but still nice and well-rounded. I know that we're still being home now probably for another month. Yikes. But so maybe you'll start adventurous in the kitchen. I know we're at home more. We're probably cooking from home more. Yeah, so maybe there's something that you would like to try or that we could try from you, because I know I've been cooking since I've been home a little bit more as well. So let's just kind of start out with like, where do we find most of our recipes? I know.
Pinterest.
Pinterest. Are you the same, Ashley? Do you get yours there too?
For the most part.
Yes, same. I love Pinterest. And for those of you that don't have it, I would highly recommend it. I've mentioned it in a couple other of our videos. It's a great time waster.
Yours are very organized though. Like boards within boards, and I don't even understand how to do that.
Yeah, if you didn't know, you can actually create a section within a board. So if you have a food section, you can create, or a food board, excuse me, you can create a baking section, like a healthy food section, a snack section. Yeah, I just discovered that one day, and then I wasted an entire day doing probably 90% of my boards that way. I didn't finish those. So, because I kind of feel like through that, I'm like, ooh, this is good. This is good. This is good.
Yeah.
20 things in one day, and like literally the next day I don't even remember what I pinned or what I saved. So but that's okay. It still is fun to look at it. So how often do you guys try new recipes?
I try to do them very often, but half the time I just stick with the tried and true. I already know how to cook, and so not very often. I should do it more. I have more time.
Right.
I usually try to do at least like one new like dinner recipe a week. I get really bored with food. Like I don't want to eat the same thing. Pizza, I usually make like homemade pizza every week, but that's like a special thing. It's Friday night
Pizza.
Friday night pizza. But other than that, like we don't have like a set like, oh, it's Taco Tuesday or like
Meatless Monday. Yeah. I would say like I probably try a handful in a month. It's usually like the weekends that I'd like to try something new. I'd like to say I've been more adventurous now that I've been home, but I really haven't either. I go back to those couple recipes that I really liked that I tried recently off of Pinterest, and I kind of go back to those because they were new and they were really good. And like I said, every day I probably save 20 recipes that I want to try, and I just kind of forget about them. So until I'm like, hey, we need something new. And then I spend an hour to scroll it, to find it, make the list and go get it. And I usually don't cook it for 2 weeks after that. So that's kind of how, unfortunately, my brain works. But so yeah, you guys too at home, if you're listening to this, post in the comments, like maybe where do you find your recipes, and how many new recipes do you try a week? That'd be kind of fun to share and just see how adventurous a lot of us are. I kind of want to talk about like substitutions really quick, because I know a lot of recipes, there's a lot of things in them that maybe we don't like. Like I'm not super big on like spicy food, certain flavors and stuff I'm not huge on. And if it has like red meat, I'm usually substituting in like chicken or turkey, things like that. But let's say too, like in this situation, if you're home and you don't have eggs, like is there something that we can replace with that? That's just off the top of my head. I don't know what that is actually for you guys at home. I do have a substitute.
Flaxseed eggs.
What was that?
Flaxseed eggs.
Flaxseed eggs. See, look at that.
Everyone has flax seeds on hand. I do, but
I do.
Yeah. There you go. So
flaxseed and water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let sit for like 5 minutes. 1 part flaxseed, 3 parts water, and then the flaxseed like makes the yolk, like it sticks together in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Cool. cool. So like I think that's kind of fun new too now, because like if we don't want to go to the store and we have literally 90% of the ingredients that we need for this recipe and you're really missing one or two things, like how could you substitute some things in to make it possible to work so you don't have to go to the store, or just even switch the flavor on it just a little bit.
Right.
I think that that's good too. I've seen substitutions like with bananas, like too, like in baking, like for eggs, so you can substitute that in. I know like different like sugars they have, you know, like your raw sugar, they have like your sweeteners and stuff now too that you can kind of switch up, stuff like that. So is there any other like substitutions that you guys use more regularly? I kind of look to Ashley just because you don't eat a lot of like meat and stuff. So like, do you eat tofu? Do you substitute in things like that into some of the recipes? See, I like tofu. I used to be a little bit vegetarian than I am now, but
I don't not like it. I just personally haven't worked with it very much to know how to prepare it correctly. So I just avoid it altogether.
I think my favorite is like in stir fry. I'll just like do like the firm or like pretty much like the extra firm because anything else falls apart. And just cube it up and I get all the liquid out of it and I would fry it like in a pan and then get it crispy and then I would just put like a teriyaki kind of base on it and then I would make my stir fry and add that just to the top of it. Because I do like the texture of it, actually. It's kind of like scrambled eggs, I would say, kind of like that type of.
I've just always made it, I mean, I think I've maybe cooked it 3 times, and it was always like too mushy because I don't think I got all the liquid out of it.
Oh, okay.
And when you would go to cook it, it would be like.
Yeah. Yeah. The extra firm is really good if you want to experiment with tofu. I do like that actually very much. So, but any other like substitutions that you use instead of, I know you use lentils. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Proteins.
I don't know. A lot of things I just tend to like gear towards like either something different or like just omitting it altogether because I'm not a fan of a lot of like the plant-based substitutions because they're usually full of a bunch of crap.
Yeah, a lot of, yeah.
The fake chicken or like sausage that you can buy and all that stuff, and then you look and it has like 50 ingredients and you're like, what is this even made of? Like I would rather just, I mean, I don't know, I guess for like an example, like I would, instead of having like a meatless burger, I would rather make like a black bean burger or something like that, where it's like it's its own thing, like it's kind of replacing it but it's like its own.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, instead of buying like a Morningstar burger and putting you know, something else on it like that. Yeah, I agree. How about you, Jill? Do you like do any like kind of substitute or replacement in on some recipes at all?
Most of them are like sweeteners. Like I substitute like sugar for maple syrup, honey, because my mom's uncle, he taps his own like tree, so we get like fresh maple syrup and honey. So I use that a lot. I use applesauce a lot, just different kind of sweeteners. I really don't substitute meat because I eat meat, so. But I do add in like, you know, beans and lentils and all that too. Like I try to not have meat every day. So most of my substitution is just sweeteners because I have a problem with sweets.
I have a problem with sweets. I think for a lot of us out there too that are huge meat eaters, I would encourage you to try like a more vegetarian based meal like every once in a while. I think you'd be surprised at like how good like the flavor is. I mean, a lot of people, I think too, I shouldn't say a lot of people because I don't want to lump everybody together. So like my family is big like meat potato eaters. Like that's just how we were raised. My grandma cooked that kind of food. My mom cooked that kind of food. And now I don't cook like that, but when I've had my family up here and when I was eating a little bit more vegetarian, I kind of put in some of those solutions, but you use so many more spices and herbs and like the textures are different. And I think you can get a lot more flavor sometimes than, you know, just having like chicken in a stir fry if you try to do something else within that stir fry. So try a new recipe that doesn't have meat in it maybe this next week, you guys, and see what you think. And if your significant other needs meat, chicken breast.
They don't really.
No.
Like I'll buy Josh like some chicken or like sometimes I like to have turkey bacon or something, but like he really only probably has meat like 2 or 3 times a week maybe.
No,
because
that's
he'll eat what I cook. So
Mhm.
no.
Jill's like, I'm not getting away with that with Corey.
I'm not
Corey-
getting away with that.
Corey, he likes his meat. Like he's a hunter. He likes all that. He likes the jerky. And but I told him, I'm like, can we at least try one just like meatless day? I'm like, I don't care if you have it for lunch, if you have a sandwich or whatever. But I'm like, dinner. I'm like, one meatless dinner. He's like, I could get down with that as long as there's potatoes. It has to be.
Sweet potatoes, yeah.
He likes sweet potatoes. I don't like sweet potatoes.
I think it just forces you to do something different, which we get, I think, especially with food, because we're so busy, we get stuck in a rut of like, you kind of eat the same thing
Yeah.
and really step out of your comfort zone. So I think by saying like, I'm going to have like one meatless day, that challenges you to find a new recipe pretty much. I realize that mac and cheese is considered meatless, but that doesn't really count. But I think that that's kind of my thing. I'm very stuck in a rut. Like I eat the same things. I have a very similar routine. And I think that that gets old after a while. So if you can try something new, like you said too, Ashley, you kind of get sick of the same old routine. So
Yeah, I know I always try to like look for like a new recipe or like plan some meals before I go grocery shopping, so that way I can like get, because it might be like, oh well, I normally buy this and this, but then if you're trying something new, you know, you might need to pick up something a little bit different. So being able to do that beforehand, I think helps me to like actually do it instead of being like, oh well, I don't have this because I don't normally get it at the store and I'm only can cook with what I have at home.
I would usually like build my grocery shopping list off of exactly what I was meal planning.
Mm-hmm.
Made it great when you were motivated on Sunday to like do your meal plan, and then you went to the store and you're like, great. And then you're like, you get back home, you're like, what am I gonna eat? There's nothing here I want to eat. And you're like, oh, I gotta cook everything I bought for like 7 days now. But it also keeps you on track. There's kind of that meal planning aspect in there too. But
I'm very like, I'll eat what, like, I'll have like whatever, 7 meals that I can make out of the stuff that I bought. But I'll be like, well, I don't really want that on Monday, so I'm going to move it and like, you know, that kind of thing versus like, oh, on Monday we're having this. And then on Monday you're like, I don't really feel like having this. Then I just make something else
yeah.
to be more flexible that way.
See, I always worked better with like, it doesn't matter what you feel like, this is what we're gonna eat, because what I had to prep, you know.
That's what I'll do with leftovers. I'm like, I don't care, you're eating like, and I'm eating the leftovers. Like
Yep.
that's what needs to get eaten.
Yeah, I like leftovers though too, because it's less work, and usually with a lot of like casseroles and things like that, they taste way better after, you know, better than the first time you eat them.
They do. Something about a casserole.
Right? Or anything that like stir fries seem to taste better, or like your vegetables soak up much more of like your sauce or your seasonings, you know, from when you first cooked it. Because usually you're in a rush, right? You're cooking it on the stove fast, and yeah. So kind of, I guess, if there's any other substitutions that you use, again, you guys at home share that too. We're kind of itching for new things to do here. You know, we're beating our head against the wall, just like you guys are, going into this second month of trying to find new ideas to stay sane. And I think cooking is great. It's a kind of a lost art, I think. My grandma used to cook so much, and she taught me how to bake. And I remember running her like KitchenAid mixer. We'd make mashed potatoes, and she'd let me put in all the ingredients, and she was like old school. She's still alive, but she doesn't cook anymore. She's like 90. She was very old school, and like if it didn't taste right, it needed like another like big like whop of butter in there, or if it wasn't doing something right for baking, it had to have like more sugar. She would make muffins, and then she'd sprinkle sugar on top just so that they would crust and crack on top, and always super attentive to all those details. And I remember making like Rice Krispies with her all the time, because I love to get just messy. And we made blueberry muffins from scratch, which I haven't done in a long time, but remembering those good recipes, and caramel rolls, she made those all the time. And then definitely like the meat potato meals that we used to have. She used to bread like the chicken. She'd put it in egg wash, put it in flour, egg wash, flour, and then like pan fry it. All that stuff was like so good, you know, horrible for you, but so good. But I think just watching her in the kitchen, like it was just, there's not a lot of, and like my mom didn't take on those traits either. She was more we're going to put this in the oven, it's a frozen dinner, like lasagna, or if we're going to do is frozen burgers, you know, that you just, they're still hamburgers, but they were frozen. Like there, my grandma would like make her own patties, like just kind of different. So I think we get so busy and kind of forget how like mindful and like relaxing and
Mhm.
art of cooking is. You put like all your emotions kind of into that meal at that time, and just a lot of good memories with her for me. So I think like to get in your kitchen with your kids and your family and your spouses and stuff like that and cook together is kind of just like no.
Like, we were cutting each other's heads off, but it's fine.
No, I tell Corey to leave. I'm like, if you're not going to help me, go away.
Okay.
He's in the way. Like I turn around to go somewhere to the other counter. He's right there. And I'm like, can you move, please? And then he moves and I turn around. He's where I need to go again. I'm like, just go.
Just
Just go
go.
sit down. No.
Yeah. So I think like, I mean, stuff like that just brings back memories for me. I know that, I mean, and I'm not super, I'm older than you guys, which we've mentioned numerous times. I'm like eight.
Oh,
So, but just thinking about kind of that stuff, if you're kind of in my generation too, like in your 30s, like maybe your parents or your grandparents did more like cooking and stuff at home, and even maybe you do now and you got really young kids, maybe that was always kind of instilled in you. But yeah, share those things. Share with us what you're like, what you like to cook, what you like to eat, different substitutions. The other thing I want to talk about too is like, what are some of the main ingredients that you like always have on hand that are staples in your house, which makes it easier for you to just reach and be like, I know that I can cook this today. Are they more healthy options? Or are they just convenient options? So Jill, what do you kind of always have around? That's just like every time you go to the store, you're either buying like eggs and milk and
Yeah, it's pretty much the basics, eggs, milk. I always have like flour and sugar and the baking stuff because I'm a big baker. So I always have that stuff on hand, like my sweeteners and stuff like that. But otherwise, I don't know. I just have like beans on hand because you can always make like an easy meal with that or add it with whatever you're eating. But I don't know. I don't think I really have anything else on hand. It's just beans.
you probably do now with that stocked pantry after this quarantine.
I guess we got some rice and like some.
that's
We
just
always
like
have
out of stock everywhere. That
it.
I'm like, I don't want the minute rice. I want like the real rice, please.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've been stocking up. Well, I haven't been, but I always have a nice pile of like chickpea noodles and stuff like that. Or if we want to have pasta one night. So I guess beans and pasta,
Good.
pretty much.
How about you, Ashley? What do you always have on hand?
Kind of, I don't know, same lines of like eggs, beans, rice. We usually have oats, either for like oatmeal or like I'll use them in baking a lot, or I can in my Ninja blender I'll make just like oat flour from oats, so it just grinds them up super fine. And like there's some recipes I'll use oat flour for instead of like, because I usually do gluten free, so then like then you have to get like the gluten free flour and or then you have almond flour and all these. So oat flour is like a good substitute for that. And just like lots of fresh fruits and veggies. I usually go to the store like once a week, so kind of get like a big haul. But by the, like I went grocery shopping yesterday, and like yesterday after for lunch, I was like, oh, we don't really have any like. I don't have like a meal of like ingredients. So I end up making like potatoes and sweet potatoes and kale and eggs because that was like what we had left.
Okay, that's good.
Right.
I like eggs, so like I could eat them for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Like I don't really, that doesn't faze me. I think that they're a good choice. Plus they're, good protein and not as bad on like the calorie count either. So anything else that you normally kind of have on hand?
Kind of plant milk, almond milk. Josh thinks he reacts to almond milk, so I've been getting coconut milk too, but I don't usually drink that. Manchego cheese, which is cheap cheese.
Cheese.
It has like virtually no lactose in it, so it doesn't bother either of us because Josh is lactose intolerant. So they have it at Aldi. It's expensive, but since we don't really do any other dairy, it's like not that bad.
Yeah. I probably have kind of, again, on the same lines as you guys too, like almond milk I always have. I'll say it, creamer has to be in my fridge.
I got in trouble for not getting any last week, so.
So now you had to get some this week. So yeah, we have creamer, coffee, obviously. Eggs, we do have a lot of cheese too. We have a lot of chicken. I need to buy chicken like every week. And lately, because of what happened, buying a little bit more, I did buy more like canned beans, which isn't normally something that I would have in my pantry. Like when all this went down, like 6-7 weeks ago, even before we were not working, it's probably been 8 weeks now when all like the toilet paper was gone and everyone was like, holy crap, how am I gonna, anyway, I looked in my pantry, like I had to stop because I would have said, wipe my, anyway, which I just did. I didn't have anything in my pantry because I usually we usually eat like week to week. I didn't have a lot of storage or stock, I mean, we would buy our groceries and then I would just eat it all and then we would go back and do it again. I never really had a stockpile of anything. And so when we went, it was more like, okay, let's buy some beans, let's buy some rice, and have a couple of those things on hand. So I do have more of that stuff readily accessible to me now, but in a normal situation, I wouldn't have that stuff. I would buy the rice and the beans or whatever if I was making chili or if I was doing like a soup, then I would just buy all the ingredients just for that. Because I didn't use it enough to like use it up and then I wouldn't want it to go bad or, so we have, like I said, a lot of eggs and cheese and that creamer, milk, chicken. We do buy some frozen fruit pretty much all the time. Yogurt, we usually
a lot of frozen fruit.
And fruits and veggies too. Like, I mean, bananas are probably something I always buy.
Brown bananas.
And they are brown right now. Yes, they are. I haven't been eating them as fast as I probably should, but if you guys haven't noticed that, I do love my brown bananas. I'm not really, food has never like driven me like to, I don't know, like even now the last like couple weeks, I don't know if it's like stress or whatever, like I'm not really hungry. And when I'm in there and eating, I'm just like, what do I want? I don't even want to cook really. So it's just like fast or convenient, like salads, things like that. And that are just throw chicken in a crock pot and I'm just eating a plain salad with chicken. But yeah, I don't really have a lot just hanging around unless I plan it. So, yeah. So anything else that you guys kind of want to add to that?
I have a question. How well do you follow directions and ingredients on a recipe? Because I struggle with that a lot. I'm like,
if it's not baking, I kind of screw the recipe and just do whatever I want. Like it's like the general idea of it, and then it's like, well, I don't really like that spice, or like I don't like that vegetable, or I don't have that thing, so this is what we're
add this. We'll add this.
Yeah, pretty much. And people are like, oh, well, I'm like, I don't know. I didn't measure anything. Like I can't tell you what. You just gotta taste it till it tastes good. I don't know.
Right. I know. I struggle with that.
But then people get mad because then they're like, well, what's this recipe? And I was like, well,
kind of my own.
This is what I did.
I could be like, here's the ingredients, but I couldn't really tell you like how much of like everything to put in it. I don't know.
I just eyeball it. I'm like, a cup.
Exactly.
Yeah, it looks like a cup.
Like I've made my egg bake enough to know exactly what goes in my egg bake. And then I just get creative if I want to add something different, if I'm adding a different cheese or spinach or sausage or whatever I'm putting in there, like I'll kind of switch it up. But most of the time, like my issue, I've gotten better though in the last couple of years, but I was more baking than cooking, but a lot of my stuff tasted the same because I always liked the same spices. Soup, every soup, whether it was vegetable, or chicken or something, would always taste the same because they use the same spices. And I didn't really like that. So I think for me, following a recipe so that the flavors get different is important. I definitely don't measure. I'm just like putting spice in my hand and throw it in there. I'm like, that's about right. And then I just shake it in there. Probably that's why all tastes the same, right? Because it's supposed to be like a pinch of this, a teaspoon of that. Like, and here I'm just like shake, shake, shake. I'm like, I wonder why it tastes like thyme, like all the time. Like that's all it tastes like is like oregano and thyme because that's all I use, and basil. For me to follow recipes for that are, I think, better because then I get different flavors. But I do get in the same zone of, like, on Pinterest, I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh, those are the ingredients I need. I usually, if I have to buy carrots, I almost like cut up all the carrots because it only calls for 2 carrots. I'm not going to use the other, 4 or whatever. So I put extra vegetables and stuff in things, I think. But so
it was just me.
Everything's going to taste the same. I've gotten better about that because I've been paying more attention and trying more herbs and like things like that. But if I were to make like a soup on my own without a recipe, it would be a disaster. So unless I've cooked it like over and over and over again, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
But
I know I can cook chicken and wild rice, creamy chicken and wild rice soup. Like I got that recipe locked down. It's my favorite.
Good.
Oh, so good. So good.
Any other questions? That was a good one because I didn't have that one. Just yell them out because I mean that's good because that's something that I didn't really think of either.
Because Corey was watching me one day and I'm just like dumping it. He's like, "Is that how you measure?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, when I cook, yeah. You just eyeball it,
Mm-hmm. My grandma never measured either, though. She just would throw it in. She just knew what to do,
Right. If it's too much, oh well. It's gonna be a little spicy.
Whoops. Yeah. Well, and that's where I think like certain batches get to be so much bigger because like you might have added a little bit of this and you're like, oh crap, now it's too spicy. I got to put this in there. You end up putting more vegetables or more rice because you made more, and you have a serving of 2 or 4 and all of a sudden it became a serving of 8 and you're eating it for the entire week. It's kind of my problem too.
A serving of 8.
That always happens with spaghetti. I like grab a bunch of noodles. I'm like, that looks like enough for 3 meals. Like, because then Corey will take the leftovers to work. And then it's like 6, 7. I'm like, oh my God, so much.
Like, I don't have enough containers.
Mm-hmm.
No.
You just got to leave it in the one big one then.
Yeah.
Get out any.
I'll be fine. Ooh, I have another question. Do you have any interesting, like, kitchen equipment that you really like to use, like air fryer, Instant Pot, the good old crock pot, because everyone really likes the Instant Pot, but I still love the crock pot. Like I love having it just sitting there all day, smell it in my house, go and check on it, and then smells so good.
My crock pot is like broken, so we got it for our wedding, and like literally the first time I went to use it, the like screw snapped off like the clip that's supposed to like hook it onto the bottom part, so I like never use it, which is fine. I didn't really use a crock pot before because I didn't have one, so we do have an Instant Pot, and I've been getting better at using it. I'm just, I don't know, I don't know all of its functions yet. Because I did a recipe like it's probably a month ago now. It was like you did everything in the one pot, which was super nice, but you can saute in it and then you can like pressure cook in it.
Ooh.
I think you can slow cook on it too. I just haven't tried that yet. So it is nice that it's like not just like a one.
Right.
No, it can do multiple things, but I still haven't experimented enough with it to like feel confident, like, oh, I could leave this on while I go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of scares me.
I don't like the steam release on those. That scares me too. Like,
It's like, psh.
Yeah, I don't know if I would like that.
It's like, do not put your face by the.
Put your face by it. That's an obvious.
That's like the biggest warning though on those things. Like, please do not put your face in front of the.
Yeah, I would say crock pots are my go-to. I'm a huge fan of crock pots. I love it.
Yeah.
We do have an air fryer, and that's probably Justin's best friend. So we use that quite a bit, probably on a daily basis, obviously. But we've cooked eggs in there, breakfast potatoes, breadsticks, like, my gosh, chicken, like, I mean, I do
Oh,
much stuff in there. It's unreal.
yeah.
I do like that it's quick and it's fast. Um, easy kind of to clean because I don't have to clean it. He does. So it's super easy to clean. Um, but I just like the crock pot because I do like the smell of the house. I like, I don't know. I just like I always was in a routine of crock pot stuff. So that's always kind of stuck with me a little bit more. But the air is nice, especially in the summer. Like I don't have air conditioning. And so if your house is super hot, you don't want to put anything in your oven and make it even that much hotter. So
Right.
last summer when we bought it, we didn't use our oven literally like maybe once or twice. We just used the air fryer. So that was kind of nice. But those are good questions too, because I don't really what other like I don't have any other like cool.
Having a high-speed blender of some type is like my favorite.
I need a new blender.
My mom has a Vitamix, which I really want, but that was too expensive because I was in college at the time. So I got a Ninja, which is like a step down, but it's still pretty good. It just doesn't get things quite as smooth.
Yeah.
But it still works, and I like it because it has a food processor attachment and a blender attachment, and then like the little smoothie cup. So if like I just want to make a smoothie for myself, I don't have to like use the whole huge blender. And
Right.
then between that, I can just use the little cup with the little tiny blade, and it's like way less to clean up.
Nice.
Mhm.
Ninja blender, but Justin usually uses that more than I do to make his like protein shakes and stuff.
I make peanut butter in mine
Ooh.
because you just
If you
put
haven't watched
it.
if you haven't watched any of our wellness videos, she's a huge peanut butter fan. If you want to get actually something, get her some peanuts so she can make her own homemade peanut butter. That's good though. It's nice to be able to make those things from home too. And, you know, it's probably super simple. You wouldn't even realize like how easy it is to like either make hummus or peanut butter,
Mhm.
like that convenient factor.
Hummus
Like,
a lot. I don't really make it anymore.
well, you don't like with your peanut butter. Do you add anything to it, or is it literally just peanuts, like period? You don't add oil or anything?
No, because if you let it, I mean, I've never tried it in an, I don't know how high speed of a blender you need for it to like actually work. Because I know like some like regular blenders, it like doesn't work, but
Mhm.
it just has to like be in there long enough that the oils in the actual nut, because you can do it with like any kind of nut to make like a nut butter, that those start like coming out and then they like mix with it and then it gets creamy. Because for the first like 3 minutes, it just looks like a bunch of chunks of nuts. Just
Mhm.
in
Long
there. And
enough.
eventually it starts to, the oils start to come out and then.
Yum.
I would say like probably one of my favorite pieces of equipment that I have in my house that wasn't listed here. I have an espresso machine.
Ooh.
I used to work at a coffee shop back in Brainerd when I was, 16, whatever. And it was like my favorite job besides being your health and wellness director. That tops this, you guys. Just kidding. I mean, I love my job, don't get me wrong, but I love making coffee. It was so much fun. And I just love that experience working there. It was kind of, it was just fun to be creative and make the drinks and like kind of got me out of my comfort zone because you had to yell the drinks out to customers and I was super shy. Go figure, you guys wouldn't have known that about me. But so we have an espresso machine. Justin got it for me for Christmas like maybe 3 years ago now. And I love it, like being able to, froth the milk. And I don't use it as much as I would like to. It is kind of loud. So like sometimes in the morning you want to turn it on and like, if he's still sleeping or stuff like that. But it is, and regular coffee is so convenient, right? You can just throw it in and just start it, put your creamer in it. But I know these girls have been over to my house. I have tons of like flavored syrups and just super fun. I like to, yeah, I like my machine there. You can get kind of creative with your drinks and stuff. So
Mhm.
probably my favorite. And I do have another gadget that I really like that's really not, it's kind of related to this, but I have a shredder peeler machine all in one that will like shred your carrots into like little matchstick pieces. It
I
is
want to know what this looks like because I'm really confused.
Oh, she will go get it. Like on my KitchenAid, I have an attachment that I can shred.
I don't have any attachments for mine, but I know you can get them.
Yeah. Like you can get a pasta maker one. What does my mom have? She has a like a peeler.
Mom has
And
like, I think it's like a grater one, probably like what you have. It's like a
Yes.
sickle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I have.
I just organized my kitchen on my quarantine, kind of forgot what drawer was in. So this is what it looks like. It
Oh.
has teeth on it,
I've seen that. I guess I didn't know what it did.
and then it has a blade. So like if you want to shred your carrots, you can cut them, and it cuts it and then cuts them into like long matchsticks. So I've made like that stir fry, like egg roll stir fry or whatever. And I've put a ton of carrots in it like that. Usually I'd buy matchstick ones, but like it's super fun to like push it down and like get this whole pile. But if you wanted to make like noodles, like too, we talked about like the zucchini noodles and stuff, or like I've seen carrot noodles now and like squash.
Potato noodles or squash, yeah.
It was super cheap. I wouldn't say super cheap, but it's very sharp. It is kind of neat though.
Fancy.
Probably my favorite device to use in the kitchen, besides my espresso machine. Who knew that like this like $3-4 little thing would be like the highlight of my day?
Right.
But it is. I like it. So anyway, any other questions at all about
Oh, I have so many questions. But they're all just kind of me personal asking.
that's okay.
Ask them in the comments, Jill. Come on.
I'll
Ask in the comments. She's like, I got stuff to do today.
It's like I can't answer your questions right now.
All right, Jill, what's your question?
It's about can openers. Because
Okay.
apparently I do not know how to work a can opener, and I always break them. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. We've gone through so many can openers. Like,
I literally have one from my grandma that's probably like 60 years old.
I don't get it. I don't get it. And I
What
asked,
breaks on it?
Annual one?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's what another, like, leading into that. Are electric can openers worth it?
I don't think so. My parents have one.
But I don't understand my problem with can openers.
I've used ones that I don't like before, like other people's houses. Like mine like goes on the side and you clamp it and then you just twist the thing till you get all the way around. But some of them it's like you have to like do it on the top of the can, and like I always had a hard time getting that on correctly.
I don't know. I was just wondering if anyone else had problems with can openers.
What breaks on the can openers?
Like it won't, like the little wheel that it catches on, like they always like break off, or they just get so worn down that it doesn't catch. And I'm like, what? I'm doing it. Like, I don't understand. It's not like we open that many cans. But I'm always breaking can openers.
My grandma had an electric can opener, and it worked okay, but it wasn't like, I don't know. I've had issues with can openers where some of them, like, they don't cut into it. They just push down, and then you can't get them to cut. But the one that I have has been fine and works just as well. So
Yeah, I need to go get a new one. That was
well, if anybody at home is looking for a gift for Jill, stock up on some can openers. You know, Christmas is coming around, or birthdays in the fall. So a welcome back from quarantine can be a new can opener.
Can opener. I never understood, because I'd always ask Corey, I'm like, can you do it? I can't, I just can't. I'm like, it's not working for me. And he's like, and he gets it, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
So I kind of, you've mentioned like your hands and stuff before with like, do you think it could be something like with your grip and like the use of your hands maybe?
It could be. Like, I know after opening a can, my hand hurts.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it, like, my grip's not, and I just can't squeeze. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Try an electric one and just see if you like it, you know, just buy it and use a couple cans. If it doesn't work, just return it. Just go to Walmart. They'll be fine. They won't even know you opened it. See if it
There's
works.
like beans on the back of it, like splashed out. I swear it was never used.
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, that was my last random question.
Last random question. Post in the comments, you guys, if you prefer a hand crank can opener or electric can opener. If you have difficulties with can openers, maybe you can share a couple tips for Jill that she can get that can opener to work every time for. Anything else you guys want to add? Guys, random conversation and topics here as we get into this, well, past our second month now, looking for wellness conversations and topics. So post in the comments what you'd like to hear us talk about. And don't forget to share your favorite recipe, maybe your substitutes that you use, or at least where you find your recipes. Let's create some conversations on these topics here. It'd give us something to do, at least if we get a notification on our phone, we get excited. So in the comments, it just makes my day. And I know that's like your whole highlight of your day is to make mine, but yeah, post in the comments, share with us, create some conversation, and try a new recipe this weekend or maybe next week, or just plan something new to try and let us know if it was successful, if you used the recipe and all the measurements correctly, or if you just eyeballed it like Jill does. Yeah, try some new fun things. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to share as well, you guys. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We look forward to our next conversation with you guys. Hopefully you have a great weekend. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.